Hey everybody. So we'll get into it on the news. Again, not a whole lot happening. Some game announcements, and then the kind of general industry shit that we don't really want to talk about, but we got to do it. Or that I want to talk about, but I don't think anybody else wants to talk about it. So, only one game announcement this week, and not even an announcement really, just more of a release date. But Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night now has a proper release date. It's kind of been back and forth on when it was going to happen, but June 18th on everything but Switch, as Destructoid puts it. June 25th for Switch, but everything else, PC, PS4, Xbox One. They say everything, but it's not on DS and it's not on Vita, what have you. We have a little bit look. We will take a look at the trailer. Let me just turn on desktop audio for you. Friedrich Nietzsche said it was shit.
Like uninvited claws.
Oh, still got a big booby demon. She just looks better. I like the music. Nice. Right. So that's Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. I backed that fucking 4 years ago now, 3, maybe 4 years ago. It's great to see that it's finally getting like an actual release date, and I can finally play it again. And good that they kind of put in the criticisms that the demo and the kind of the early builds of the game are getting, and it's come on a long way. They brought on Way Forward a while ago, who are known for doing some pretty good 2D games. So that's helped them. That's helped them a lot by the looks of it. So, looking forward to playing that. Okay, right. Into the industry shit. Former Netherrealm devs accuse management of harassment and poor working conditions. So this is kind of just continuing on from something I brought up right at the end of last week, in that it's more crunch stuff, and just Netherrealm are just the latest studio to be accused of it. What makes this one a little bit different is that they're not anonymous reporters. They're people who have like formerly worked, and they are putting their names to it. I was regularly doing 90, 100-hour weeks and worked every single day. I know someone who stayed on the couch in the office to not risk falling asleep while driving. On Mortal Kombat 9, crunch officially began after New Year's Day, said former software engineer, so they're giving their actual names to it. I took one day off between January 1st and the day one patch was approved. It was my birthday, and it was on a Sunday, so it was okay if I was just on call. I was allowed to go to a friend's wedding on call on a Saturday night after working an 8-hour shift. It's like there's loads of stuff, and this isn't even the only article about it. There's tons of articles going on about Netherrealm, and not just Netherrealm. I mean, we had Epic going on about it, BioWare were going on about it. Just like every studio, every big AAA studio has this shit, and just more and more stories are coming out, and like it's crap to hear about them, because you know you don't want to hear that like your favorite game was only made because the people who made it were worked to the bone. But the more of these stories you hear, the more likely it is that something will change, or That's kind of what we're building. Hopefully what they're building towards, rather. Not we. I'm not in the game industry. Anyway. Right. This is from Boing Boing, who I don't usually show, but they kind of have stuff about copyright and things like that. And there's a bit of crossover here. So Jimmy Fallon, of whatever show he's on, played a video game on air. He played Beat Saber, meaning that streaming your own game gets you taken down as a pirate, thanks to NBC. So, but basically this is YouTube's Content ID just being too aggressive. Jimmy Fallon's show under NBC had Beat Saber on, and he played it with Brie Larson, and they had like a big blown up thing on the screen for the studio audience so they could see what was actually happening. They played Beat Saber and it was pretty good. But the issue is that NBC upload their footage, they claim copyright for that footage, Beat Saber is on that footage, so if you play Beat Saber, your own game, your own stream, despite Beat Studio or Beat Games, I think it's Beat Games, saying, fine, we're not even going to enforce, you can do your Let's Plays and upload your videos. But because NBC have footage that contains Beat Saber, this shit happens. So this is the future of upload filters and things like that the EU is trying to bring in. It's not good. This isn't a good look for anybody. And this isn't even the first time this has happened. This is nothing. This happens all over the place. People claiming stuff that they don't own. NBC owns the footage for their show. They don't own the footage of Beat Saber, but they're allowed to do it, and they're allowed to get away with it. Jimster71 doesn't have a leg to stand on he does. He has plenty of legs to stand on, actually, but he doesn't have the money to go up against NBC Universal. He can make a claim, and all NBC have to do there is say no. There's no legal review or anything like that. If Jimster wants to actually take them to court, are you really going to try to take NBC to court on something like that? It's like nobody has that kind of money. It's just shit. Anyway, so a blast from the past here. Fallout 76, who I had been bashing ever since it came out, but has since been eclipsed by things like Anthem and other things, but adds player-run storefronts next week. So when Fallout 76 launched, the big thing about it was that it didn't have NPCs, right? So it didn't have shops. All the people you'd interact with were players. And then rather than actually introduce NPCs, they're just going to get players to be the shop front. That's just fucking dumb. And even then, they're still taking a cut of the sales. Anyway, I don't know. I just thought it was funny that the game is so deprived of content and a scripted NPC dialogue that the players are forced to actually take up the mantle for that. Anyway, more Epic being shitheads. Epic acquires Psyonix, will remove Rocket League from sale on Steam later this year. Update: Epic now insisting future Steam status not announced, but we know what Epic's going to do. So Epic bought Rocket League, or Rocket League developer Psyonix, who own Rocket League. So Epic bought Rocket League. Basically, if you own Rocket League on Steam PC already, you can keep it. That's not going to go away. But like future sales might disappear. Good, thanks Epic. Thanks for making that very clear for everybody. This is just this isn't competitive for a consumer standpoint, because this is just Epic locking Rocket League behind their store. I'm like, fine for Psyonix. I don't know what the deal is. I guess it was good for them if they decided to agree to it, but we're not Psyonix. Anyone who wants to play Rocket League from then on is just getting shafted, having to deal with Epic and their bullshit. Borderlands 3 had a big kind of showcase this week for gameplay and things like that, but something that came out from it is that 2K confirms Borderlands 3 has cosmetic only, whatever the fuck that means, purchases following microtransactions confusion. So the confusion thing was that Randy Pitchford, in all his trustworthiness, said on stage that Borderlands 3 wouldn't have microtransactions. Now what he meant was it wouldn't have pay-to-win stuff, it wouldn't have premium currency, it wouldn't have loot boxes, or purchasable loot boxes rather. I mean, Borderlands will obviously have their randomized chests and things like that. That's what the game was known for. What he meant was not the kind of shitty free-to-play kind of stuff or pay-to-win kind of stuff, but he basically tried to sum that up by saying no microtransactions, without realizing that like any kind of purchase you make within game, no matter what it is a microtransaction. So buying cosmetics, even though it's not the shitty the shitty premium currency thing, it's still a microtransaction, Randy. And he got a big stink about it on Twitter. I wonder if they have the tweets. They don't have the tweets on this. But he made a big stink about it. Game Informer basically telling the truth and saying the game has microtransactions, even if they are cosmetic only. And Pitchford came back to say, "Oh, why you do me like this, bro?" And I'm paraphrasing only very slightly because his actual tweet wasn't far off that. Only to say, only for 2K basically to turn around and say, yeah, it does have microtransactions. Our bad, bro. So this from a while back. Activision Blizzard laid off like 800 people. No, not like 800 people. 800 people earlier in the year, despite making record profits. And this is just from a recent earnings call. It's just been confirmed that they made a lot of cash. Not from laying off people. They had already laid off people and then made a lot of cash. Begging the question, why did you have to fire a bunch of people? That's just shitty, but also par for the course for Activision. And I'm really annoyed that they have their name attached to Sekiro. So this is something to look at or look forward to. I wouldn't say look forward to exactly, but Riot files motion to move gender discrimination lawsuit into private arbitration. If you're not familiar with private arbitration is basically we don't go to court. If you have a problem, you just take it to the company, and we'll come to an agreement ourselves between each other. No need to get the law involved, which is shitty, obviously, because all the power is with Riot in that standpoint. All the power is with the company. So it's currently part of employee contracts in that gender discrimination. That's sexual harassment and things like that, which Riot has had a lot of problems documented in the past around sexual harassment and discrimination. Basically, it's in the contract that you'll do forced arbitration. Private arbitration is making it sound good. It's forced arbitration. You don't have a choice. It's in your contract. If you decide not to go with forced arbitration, you're breaking your contract, and such they can fire you, which is kind of what they want. But this is basically to say that the update is to say that Riot we've heard what you're saying. That's not a good thing to do. So new employees will have the option to opt out. How obvious that opt out will be, I don't know. The choice to opt out of mandatory arbitration for forced arbitration for individual sexual harassment and sexual assault claims. At that time, we will also commit to have a firm answer around expanding the scope and extending this opt-out to all writers. So it's only for new hires. Current and past employees don't get that. It's not in there. Like they're not even going to be given the option. So because of that, employees aren't pleased and are planning a walkout on Monday, May 6th. So this Monday. So that might be something we can have a look at next week. And that's kind of it for this week. Again, not a whole lot of news. Bloodstained, I'm glad they're getting a release date, because I really, really want to play that game now. And then just the typical industry shit. It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's so typical, but there we are. YouTube Content ID making its first appearance, I think, on my news recaps, but it's definitely something I keep an eye on a lot. Because I'm on YouTube, so I am also subject to these content ID claims, and I can't, even if I do reverse a claim and come back and say you don't own the rights to this. I mean, I don't own the rights to it either, but you definitely don't own the rights, and they can just say no, just no, and YouTube are like, sue them. I'm like, I don't fucking money to sue anybody. Anyway. Later on today, we'll be continuing Sekiro stream. Hopefully, we'll see how the day goes. And Games of April will be up Monday, midday on Monday for me. Probably morning time if you're US. US tends to be my bigger audience. Not that I have a great audience, but I have a great audience. It's just not a big audience. Anyway, next week I will be away, so there will be content going up on the YouTube channel, but the Twitch channel will be quiet until I'm back. So just to keep that in mind. But anyway, Sekiro later on today if you're interested. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.